In previous lecture of the round robin scheduling algorithm, we have discussed how you can prepare the Gantt chart in round robin scheduling algorithm, how you can calculate the average waiting time and average turnaround time. Now in this lecture, we will understand one more example and we will try to solve this example. In previous lecture, we had mentioned that the arrival time of the all the three processes were the 0 millisecond. Now consider the set of 5 processes whose arrival time and the burst time are given. So the arrival time of all the 5 processes are different and we have mentioned the burst times also. Now if the CPU scheduling policy is the round robin with the time quantum of 2 unit, right? So 2 unit mean 2 nanosecond or millisecond. So calculate the average waiting time and average turnaround time. So question is, we have to answer average waiting time and average turnaround time. So based on this table, so we have to first prepare the Gantt chart, and the time quantum is the 2 unit, means we have 2 nanosecond of time. Now let us prepare the Gantt chart based on this given example. Now the arrival time of the P1 process is 0 nanosecond and the burst time is 5 nanosecond. Means the three time quantums are required by P1. Okay, as per the burst time, and P2 requires the two burst time quantums, right? It requires 3, it requires 2, and it requires only 1, right? And the burst time of the P4 is 2, so hence it's require only 1, and P5 requires 2 time quantums. Okay, now let us prepare the Gantt chart. So this is the Gantt chart we have prepared already. So the P1, so P1 is getting the first time quantum, that is 2 nanosecond of time quantum, right? And it will complete its execution of 2 nanoseconds. So 5 minus 3, 5 minus 2, that is 3. 3 is the remaining burst time of the P1. And next time quantum is allocated to P2. So 2 nanosecond. So 3 minus 2, remaining will be 1 nanosecond. P3 is getting the third time quantum and its burst time is only 1 nanosecond. So 1 nanosecond it is getting. So it is completing its task at 5 nanosecond, right? So it is normally terminated. Next P4 getting the next time quantum, right? See, after the P3 there is a P1 in the Gantt chart. Why so? Because already we have mentioned the arrival times. Okay, we have mentioned the arrival times. So when the at the time of, see, let us go back, at the time of this 2 nanosecond, right? So in the ready queue we had 1 means P1, right? 2 means P2, right? And 3 means P3. So at the 2 millisecond we had these three processes in the queue. So first one is in CPU, it is executing, right? Is its burst time. So hence when the P2 is completes its burst time at 2 nanosecond, so P2 will get the process, P2 will get the CPU, right? So when P2 gets the CPU, the P1 is put it into the tail of the ready queue, right? And thereafter in the 3 millisecond, the third millisecond, the process number 4 is added to the ready queue. So this is the queue what we have. Okay, and after the 4, on the 4th nanosecond, a fifth process is added to the ready queue. So this is the ready queue, right, of the round robin. So if you are getting confused here, so go back and watch my first lecture on this RR, round robin scheduling, where I have mentioned about this ready queue. Okay. Now what happens after completion of the second and the third process here, as per the Gantt chart, 5th millisecond, right? There is a process in the queue called P1. So P1 will get a next time quantum of 2 millisecond, and on 7th millisecond it will turn to the fourth process. So fourth process will be getting the next time quantum. After the fourth, which is the next process in the queue, the fifth process, right? Fifth process. So P5 gets the next CPU burst time, right? And thereafter, so P2 has already completed 2 nanosecond, and it requires one more time quantum to complete its one more uh, 1 nanosecond of burst time. So P2 is put into the queue. So again it will get the next time quantum after P5, right? So already here P1 is completed. Again it will be put into the queue, right? Because it requires 5 nanosecond of burst time. So 2 nanosecond completed here, 2 nanosecond completed here. So one more nanosecond completes here, right? So here, okay. Similarly, P5 also requires one more nanosecond, so it will be put at the last. Okay, so in this fashion we complete all the processes burst time. Okay, burst time. So 14th nanosecond, all the processes completes their burst time. So if you calculate 5 into 3 8 plus 1 9, 9 plus 2 11, 11 plus 3 is 14. So 14 nanosecond is the completion time of all the processes. Okay, so whatever I have explained, so that is shown in this table. So when the process execute for 2 nanosecond, so its remaining time is 3 nanosecond, right? So it will complete 2 nanosecond here, then 2 nanosecond here, and 1 nanosecond here, right? Similarly, P2, which is arriving at 1 nanosecond, will get the second time quantum, and thereafter it will be getting a next time quantum after the P5, right? Because it is arriving at 4 nanosecond, means at this point all the processes are in the CPU. So therefore it is putted into after P5. Okay, next P3 having only a 1 nanosecond, so the time quantum is 2 nanosecond. So therefore if you see here, it is completing its task and normally it is terminating. Similarly, P4 is completing its execution in 2 nanosecond and normally it is completing or terminating its process. Now P5 has 3 nanosecond of burst time. In first time quantum, it will complete 2 nanosecond of burst time, and remaining 1 nanosecond of burst time it will complete at this point. Enters at 13th nanosecond, completes at 14th nanosecond. Okay, so if you have a arrival time and all the processes arrival time are different, so in this fashion you can prepare the Gantt chart, and also you can calculate the average waiting time and average turnaround time, which I have already explained in the previous video. So this is all from this example. In the next lecture we will understand one more example, which that question has been asked on round robin scheduling algorithm in GATE examination. Such type of question might be asked in other competitive exams also, like NET, SET, and other competitive examinations related to assistant professor job. So we will understand such type of question, what type of question will be asked in the competitive exam and how you can solve it. So thank you for watching.